Boys and girls, what is up? What is up? What is up? Today I'm drinking water, trying to stay hydrated. Sometimes I have a beer, so maybe I might have a beer or a little claw or truly or something. But sticking to the water right now. Super pumped because today we have my man Ricardo Rosales. Me and him have been going back and forth actually for a while, trying to do something together. And I've been following this guy for, years and years and years now. And I'm super excited to have him on. But not only that, I'm going to be speaking at his event. Let's bring Ricardo on. Let's just get right into it. What's up, man?
What's happening, man?
Dudes, how was Colombia?
So I went to Colombia back in July. I got my great friend Carlos Balsan. Shout out to Carlos. He lives out there in Medellin, and I visited him because I wanted to open a call center in Colombia. So I went ahead and took the opportunity to go visit my friend Scott Morse as well with Lamasu.
Yeah.
And man, I had a great time. But then after that, I came back to the U.S. and I was here for maybe a month or so. We went on vacations for summer with the kids and all that to Florida. We were actually not far from you in Orlando, Miami, Tampa.
Everywhere but Jacksonville, man. What did we do to you, bro?
I cannot care less about that city, brother. The only thing I like about Jacksonville is when I close a deal there. That's it.
Hell yeah.
And it's a great city for real estate. I'll give you that.
Yep.
Real estate is a pretty solid in Jacksonville, but I don't know. There's something about the west side of Florida that I like, which is the beach and the white sand and all that.
Baby.
So yeah. So anyhow, we went there for vacations, and then I went to Venezuela where I have my call center, and I was there for almost 2 months. So back in the States, getting ready to do this event this weekend. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on your channel and talk to your people, brother. So I know,
man, I love it.
We've been playing phone tag, or I don't know if you call it phone tag or Facebook tag or Instagram tag, for like a good year.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you doing this, man. I want to get into a little bit about who you are, just so people understand the caliber of the individual that we have on tonight. So who is, we just talked about it. Like, this guy has a call center in Venezuela, thinking about moving into Colombia. Like, so you can already think of the kind of caliber of the thoughts of this individual. So who is Ricardo Rosales?
That's a great question, man. I grew up. I was born here in the U.S. by pure luck. Okay, so I'm a U.S. citizen by nacimiento, to call it that way, by birth. But I grew up in Venezuela when I was very little. I was like 9 months old. My parents took me to Venezuela, and that's really where I grew up. So my first language is actually Spanish, even though today I would say it's English because I've been longer in the U.S. than I was in Venezuela. So 17 years old, I moved out of Venezuela. I went to Miami, Florida because I won a bet against my dad. I was one of those bad kids in high school, and man, I was getting drunk every day. I started drinking when I was 12 years old, by the way.
Wow.
So in Venezuela, you can literally walk up to the liquor store and get alcohol. So I was the youngest of all my friends where I grew up, and I was around alcohol. Luckily, there were no drugs involved. So our drug of choice was alcohol. That was it. Like, if we saw somebody doing like smoking weed or something like that, it was like, oh my God, that guy's the devil or something. He's a very bad guy, right? Needless to say, the guys that were drinking alcohol were no worse or better, than those guys. But when I was 17, dude, I out of 7 classes I was taking in my last year in high school, I flunked 5. And it's because I wasn't showing up. I was just partying from Monday through Sunday pretty much. And my dad actually did a bet with me. He's like, look, man, if you pass all these classes in September, when remediation time comes up, I'm going to send you to Miami, Florida. You're going to go to Miami-Dade Community College. I'm going to buy you a new car. I remember it was a Mazda Prodigy. And I'm going to set you up in an apartment in Kendall. And I was like, apartment,
Dude,
by
that's the
myself,
dream.
a car, brand new car, Prodigy. I'm in, man. So I went and passed my 5 classes. And my dad, he's a man of his word, man. He as soon as I showed up with the degree, he's like, all right, man, pack your bags. We're leaving on Thursday. This is like on Tuesday. We're leaving on Thursday. And I was like, Thursday? No, man. Like, let's wait until like 2 weeks or something. I wanted to party with my friends. He's like, nope, I got to get you out of here. So needless to say, he got me out of there. And, not long after I moved to Miami, I was in the same ways, drinking and partying. Long story short, man, I started working for my dad when I was 8 years old. And I always had money growing up, not because my dad had money, but because he paid me to work.
Yep.
So that's how I could afford going out, partying and all that, right? In Miami, I was running already part of his company, like in the operations side. And one day we just got into it because he wanted me to go to college. And I didn't really want to go to college. I had already a daughter. I had my daughter Oriana when I was 19 or 18. Yeah, 19. And I had responsibilities already. So, he kept on bugging me about college and all that. And I was like, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I just want to work. And I want to be like you because he's in the you're actually going to meet him this weekend. He's going to be at the event.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the insurance business. So I don't know, man. It just didn't work out that way. And I ended up leaving his company. He immediately took the car away from me because he claimed that the vehicle he was paying for. Now at that time I had a Honda Accord V6 with leather seats and all that, right? And he's like, give me that car. You don't work here anymore. So, man, I was like, what do I do? So I started some entrepreneurship things with some money I had and some loans from some of my friends. But honestly, that didn't work out. And I ended up losing a lot of money because of that.
Mm.
And when I was 21 years old, I went ahead and joined the U.S. Navy because I didn't know what to do with my life. I needed insurance for my daughter. I needed a paycheck. And I was very mature, and I believe that the military was going to give me some sort of stability.
Yeah.
That would allow me to help me, raise my daughter. Even though my daughter grew up with her mom, somehow I needed to support, and joined the military. I did 4 years, gas station in Corpus Christi, and is Ingleside, is like north of Corpus. And when I was in the Navy, I was a mechanic, and I was a pretty good mechanic. I chose to be a mechanic because I had never changed a light bulb in my life. Never. So when I went in the Navy, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something that's going to teach me some skills, okay?
Right.
Mechanical skills, something along those lines. And, man, it was a great choice because when I was in the ship, I was a diesel mechanic and I was a power plant operator. So I was literally operating the main machinery room, all the engines, all of that stuff, while the ship is on their way. But that gave me a set of skills that later on translated into what was my first 6-figure job, which was in the oil and gas business. So I went and I'm not a corporate hater, by the way. I'm not one of those guys that say, you guys got to get out of a corporation, quit your jobs, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that guy because guess what? I come from a military background, number one, and that's a corporation, whether you like it or not. I don't consider them employees. I consider military people slaves. I was one of them. Okay. And the reason I say that is because we just don't get paid enough for what you do. It's that simple, man. You're risking your life. You're going to war, and it's at the end of the day, you work a lot, while you're in there. So at least that was my case. And When I was on the ship, we were in the Gulf of Mexico running around, and I will see these oil rigs. And I was like, man, I wonder how much money mechanics make out there. And this is the power of visualization, Gonzalo. You know, you start seeing yourself in those rigs, and that's what I did. I started seeing myself in those rigs working as a mechanic, and I thought I was going to be able to be like a diesel mechanic for one of the rigs. And at the time, Google didn't exist. It was like Yahoo or something like that. And I was going on Yahoo and how much money mechanics make on rigs. And the answer was like $80,000 a year. And I was like, oh my God, 80,000. Wow. I can, you know, I'm going to be rich if I get a job there. Right. I mean, I was making 14 grand a year when I was in the Navy. Right. So for 14 grand to 80,000, that's a big step.
Oh yeah.
And a huge change in lifestyle. So anyhow, man, I knew I didn't want to continue in the military for multiple reasons. The politics in the military are tough because if you don't like your command or you don't like your boss or your superiors or whatever, supervisors, man, you're stuck with them for 4 years.
Yeah.
And what if they don't like you either, right? Mm-hmm. So now you got to deal with that relationship that, you know, is not going to be well. I mean, period. You're just going to suffer through it. And I just didn't see myself doing 20 years of that kind of politics. Right. Even though when I joined the Navy, I thought I was going to be able to do 20 because I was taking a lot of pride into being in the military. And I still do. I actually think everybody in the world should at least be in the military for a year or two at a minimum so they can understand and learn what work ethic is and how hard it is to earn $1, no?
Yeah.
So anyhow, I set up my goal. I said, okay, I don't want to be here because I don't like the politics. What do I do? So I started, preparing myself. The first thing I did was I learned how to do a resume. Believe it or not, in the university, they don't teach that. My daughter just graduated in FIU, and she called me up and said, Dad, I need help. Okay, what do you need? I was like, I'm applying for jobs and I'm not getting calls back. And I said, guess what? Your resume is not selling. And she's like, can we tweak it and pick? And I was like, sure, let's sit down together. And we kind of got on a Zoom call and we started working on it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we build a resume that sells now.
Yeah. So
things like that, they don't teach in school. They don't teach in high school or the university. I had to go learn how to do it. By the time I got out of the JV, brother, the Navy, I had 19 job offers. Anywhere ranging from $12.47 all the way to six figures, you know, working on gas turbines and things like that. And that was the doors that opened up for me to join the oil and gas business, which I am very grateful for.
Yeah.
Had a great life. I spent 10 years working in that segment.
Wow.
And yeah, I went from, and guess what? I'm going to give you a question. I got the lowest offer was $12.47. The highest was $110,000 salary to go to work on gas turbines. Which one did I pick?
I mean, if you're asking it that way, probably the lowest one.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Because the $110,000 offer was an offer that was very good. But when I was going to these interviews, I was interviewing the companies and they were interviewing me to see if I was a good fit, right? But at the same time, every time you go get a job, if you're out there looking for a job, let's say somebody's looking for a job with Cash Geeks. Me as an applicant, I should be interviewing you guys.
Absolutely.
Like, why in the hell do I need to come work here at Cash Geeks? What do I get out of it? Like, what's in it for me, right? So when I was doing this with the oil and gas business, I learned that from my father, by the way, because he's a master at sales. And when I was doing that in the oil and gas business, I noticed that the environment in that one company that was paying a lot of money, people weren't happy there. So I was like, you know what? I can make money here, but I just don't know if I'm going to be happy here. And at that point, I just wanted to be happy. Like, I didn't, like, the money was good, but I didn't think the money was going to make me happier.
Right.
if I was in a crappy job.
Yep.
But for some reason, everybody working, and the company name is FMC Technologies. They're no longer around. They got bought out by somebody else and they changed the name. Everybody at that shop, man, making $12, $13, $14 an hour, they were happy.
Yeah.
And I had that sense of belonging. I was like, you know what? I want to be here. I want to work here. This is where I belong. I want to be here. So I called the recruiter and I said, hey, his name is Manuel Zaragoza. We're still friends today. I said, Manuel, man, I'm having a tough time, dude, because I got all these offers and you are the lowest offer. Can you tell me why I need to join your company? And he said, well, Ricardo, that's an introductory offer, right? We're going to put you on a training program. So he explained the whole thing. Next thing you know, I'm like, all right, brother, I'm in. As soon as I said that, my girlfriend at the time was like, you must be stupid or something because you just let all that money go.
Yep.
And at that point, I knew that relationship wasn't going to go anywhere further out, you know. So not long after that, we ended up breaking up. But, you know, I joined the oil field, man. And within 2 years, I was making multiple six figures already. So I made the right choice.
Did you go directly from the oil industry to real estate, or was there another?
So I did it while I was in the oil field.
Got it. Okay.
That's why I love people that have jobs, because I was one of those guys.
Yep.
In 2008, now I joined the oil field in 2005. By 2008, when the whole meltdown is happening, I had a little bit of money. I had a good job, a good W-2 job.
Yep.
And the bug of real estate got on my head already because of some books that I was reading. And that's literally when I started. So because I used to work offshore. And when I was working offshore, if I was on the rig, I was busy. But if I was not on the rig, I was off 100%.
Right.
So I could literally get me a second job if I wanted to, that would allow me to work, you know, while I was off. And for me, it was like, I'm going to build my business while I have a job and while I have a steady income. And at the time, I was more of a passive investor. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy me some rentals. I'm going to flip some to rent. And I learned from this guy in Houston. His name is Blake Jarborough. He's a OG here, super successful guy. I bought into his dream. Like, his dream was like, listen, guys, if you guys can accumulate 100 rentals at $250 a pop on cash flow, that's $25,000 a month. And I was like, wow, 25 grand a month. I don't even make that money right now, because I was making maybe 10, 15,000 at the time.
Right.
Good money. Don't get me wrong. This is 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, man, if I can get those rentals. And the other thing is the equity capture per deal, right?
Yep.
So I did the math and I said, okay, if I do 100 doors, 100 single family homes, and I capture $30,000 a pop, that's $3 million. I'm rich.
Yep.
And now I started seeing becoming rich a reality. Because I was like, I can reverse engineer this. You know, I can reverse engineer this. All I got to do is do 1, 2. And that's when I started investing in real estate. And my first deal was horrible, man. I mean, numbers wise was good, but I had no experience. I didn't have a mentor. And dude, every contractor and the mama, they took my money and just ran with it, you know, and in this business, you're either going to pay a mentor or you're going to pay the streets.
Yeah.
But there's no in between.
Correct.
So if I had to do it all over again, I would have joined a mentorship program. I would have find somebody that I would have probably paid Blake. I was like, Blake, I'm going to give you the money, but just hold my hand, you know, help me get to where I want to get. And, but I wasn't thinking about that, because I thought people that were selling education, maybe they were after my money or stealing money or whatnot.
Of course.
I had a limiting belief, you know, mentality wise and all that. And anyhow, brother, in 4 years, I had 100 rentals, and and I still had a job. So I did it all while I was employed. I was a W-2 guy making multiple six figures, worked offshore, had a rental portfolio. But I hated life because, in my opinion, I bought off on the wrong dream. which was being a landlord. I did not like being a landlord, number one. I didn't like doing evictions to older ladies, which I had to do at some point.
Yep.
I qualified the tenants, but at the time, man, in 2008, 9, and 10, if somebody had the first month deposit in the
Absolutely. Whoever
give me
comes
that check,
first.
I gotta put somebody on that because I gotta refinance.
Yep.
And at the time, we didn't have DSCR loans. We were only refinancing under blanket loans, which basically were hard money loans, interest only loans for like a period of time, like 5 years. That was it. In 5 years, you had to go and refi somehow.
Yep.
So once I realized in 2012 that I had made a huge mistake, I started liquidating everything I had and became a motivated seller pretty much. Every time a house became available, I was getting rid of it. Now, the things that I learned during those times is systems and processes. So I started developing systems to buy, fix, and flip. Basically, the Burr method. It's just we didn't call it that way back then.
Right.
We just buy, fix, and flip, and rent, and then refinance. And basically, the paint cabinets were the same. Granite was the same. My houses were very boring. So you saw house number 3 and house number 75. They look the same.
Right.
The only way you can tell they're different is because the layout of the kitchen is different and whatnot. And then we'll use the same flooring, we'll use the same paint color. Now every year we change the paint color, so just so we knew what year the house was. Like, okay, we bought that one in like we bought that one in 2014. That one is like mustard, like inside, right?
Yep.
Oh, we upgraded to beige. Okay, that's 2017. In 2018, we started with the grays and all that, right?
Yep.
But I created a group of guys that literally by drinking coffee at the cafeteria of where I was working at, I moved on from offshore to like management, and I was now a big corporate guy in one of the companies here in Houston, making good money. I was making like $300,000 a year. Why in the hell would I quit that? And then I didn't even have to clock in or out. Like they didn't even know if I was in the building.
Right.
So it's like golden handcuffs, right?
Yep.
When I was there, I'm listening to all these guys talk about how they pay taxes. Oh, I paid 25%. I paid 35%, man. Uncle Sam is killing me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just laughing my ass off. I'm like, I pay nothing, dude. Like, why are these guys struggling? And I knew they made less money than I did, salary-wise. And I approached one. I was like, dude, why are you paying that much in taxes? Well, I need some deductions. And I was like, buy some real estate, man. What are you talking about? I said, dude, if I show you my tax returns, I pay an average of 8 to 12% per year. So what that means is I get money back. And they're like, but you're like a senior director here in this company. I said, yeah. But because of real estate, I get all these deductions and I get all this depreciation and all these things back. So the government always send me a check. They send me $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 every year. And they're like, man, I don't believe you. I was like, I'll bring you my tax returns tomorrow. But if I do, you're going to start investing with me. And they're like, do it. As soon as they saw that, they're like, how do we do that? So I started teaching my friends at work how to be real estate investors.
Oh, got it.
A couple of them are rich today, thanks to that. Yeah, they kept a lot of properties. We became business partners, and then we ended up going different directions.
Yeah. No, and I agree, man. That's the beautiful thing of a good paying W-2.
Yeah.
If you have a good paying W-2, I agree, man. I mean, because active income is one thing. You can make $300,000 a year wholesaling, or you can make $300,000 a year freaking working a corporate job. As long as it's high income,
why not?
Buy rentals until you build up enough a portfolio. But it's so much easier to buy rentals if you have that W-2. Especially back then when there was no DSCRs and all that stuff.
And the banks love giving you money.
Correct.
Because you're a safe bet.
Yeah.
You're a safe bet. You're not gonna default on loans. Your credit is probably impeccable at that point, because you pay everything on time. Unless you're trying to show off and you drive a car more expensive than the one you should be driving, or living in a bigger house than the one you should be living at. There's no reason why you couldn't accumulate wealth with a job.
Absolutely.
So I did that. The first time I got rich was because I accumulated. I got rich on paper, by the way, not on cash. So we sat down with a banker one day because we were refinancing like 15 properties at a time. And the banker asked us a bunch of questions for our P&L and financials and stuff. And dude, I tell you right now, we might have had maybe $5,000 in the bank account. Like we were cash poor.
Yep.
And the banker comes to us and is like, well, I looked at your numbers, man. You guys are rock solid. And I'm looking at Jose like, what is this guy talking about, dude? We barely got $5,000 to our name right now.
Yeah.
You guys are worth like $4 million each. And I'm like, how? So this is all the equity you guys got on your properties. And I'm like, okay, how much money are you going to give me out of that? Well, we'll see, but we'll give you up to 80%. And at the time it was like 75, something like that.
Yep.
We'll be able to cash you out in these deals that you have. And we know you're buying other deals. And we did it all with none of our money, none of it. Like literally. And the only reason we were out of money, cash ourselves, was because our rehabs, we were always got out of budget. So,
yep.
We ended up putting more money into it than we should, or problems that we didn't know existed were there. And in 2015, man, I was transitioning from being a landlord into more of a fix and flip guy. And I got laid off. One day I came to work. Actually, I didn't even go to work. They called me on the phone. They're like, hey, dude, we need you to come in with your computer and your credit card. And I was like, what happened? We're letting you go. And I was like, what? You couldn't, you know what I said? I said, you couldn't wait until Monday, dude. Like, you had to do it on Friday. And they're like, nah, man, you got to do it today because today's the cutoff of the payroll and we're going to give you money. So we want to make sure it's done today. Otherwise, we have to wait 2 more weeks. I was like, no problems. I'll go there today. And as soon as I walked out of that building, I said to myself, okay, at that point, I already knew how to flip houses. I knew how to raise private money. I knew how to leverage, capital and lenders and things like that. And I also knew how to build a network marketing company. So I had built downlines already in other ventures that I did in the past. And I had to make a decision because I said I don't want to ever go to work for somebody again. Because the feeling I had at that time, I was 36, was that all of a sudden somebody dictated whether I made money or not. And I had already been in corporate America for long enough to know that those jobs, even though they were good, they were only temporary. And I said, from now on, I'm just going to take my destiny in my hands and I'm just going to do the best I can. Now, I had a problem at the time, which I made a lot of money. I had a lot of rentals, and not rentals, but I had a lot of flips going on, and most of those flips were out of budget. My wife was 6 months pregnant, but I also lived like a guy that made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So my mortgage was $5,000, and at the time, $5,000 was a lot of money. And my car payments, I was like a rapper. I had a truck, a Mercedes. My wife had another Mercedes. My mom, I paid for my mom car too, and then my mother-in-law. So, and my daughter. So I had 6 cars, six car payments on me.
Jeez.
Yeah, crazy, bro. And because you never think money's,
right.
Somebody's gonna unplug you like that.
Right.
I got unplugged. Now they gave me money, and that money lasted me probably like 6 months. They gave me a good package, so I'm not complaining. I'm not, bad mouthing them or anything like that. They treated me very well, actually. But I said, you know what? I will not be in this position again. And that's when I went from flipping 3 properties at a time, because that's what I was doing. Well, I had a job. I was doing 3 flips in my job, into like, all right, guys, we need to go do 10. And my friends were like, my partners at the time were like, 10? You must be out of your fucking mind, dude. Like, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of loans. They were very much risk adverse. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, brother, throw me the money. I'll sign whatever you tell me to sign, and I'll go to work. And that's when we started to split up. So we did a buyout where I bought them out with the rentals that we had together at the time. They kept the rentals, and I kept the liabilities moving forward.
Mm,
which were all the projects that we had going on and all the private money we had lined up. Because at the end of the day, I was the one that raised most of it.
got it.
And dude, by 2017, we were swimming in flips. I mean, I was doing 50 flips at a time.
Jesus.
We were just bringing money every month, but bro, I did that out of desperation. I didn't do that to get rich.
Right.
I did that because I said, I got these mortgage payments, I got all these cars, I got debt, I got a wife and kids to feed, right? And I don't know when the next paycheck is coming. That was my mindset. I was like, I gotta fucking buy as many houses as I can, because every time I buy one, I put money in my pockets.
Yeah.
So I became a house buying machine. And in between 2016, I would say, because in 2015, when I got laid off, it took me about 6 months to kind of like get going.
Yeah.
I had some projects happening, but I didn't know which direction I was moving forward. Like I didn't hesitate, but I had 3 different fires happening at the same time. So I was waiting for one fire to finally explode, but it didn't. So I said, okay, I'm just going to go and buy all these houses. I'm a real estate investor full-time now, and this is it. I squatted the network marketing thing. I was buying a company, and I killed that. I raised $300 million to buy a company. And yeah, and I had a letter and everything to go buy, but the seller at the end of the day didn't want to sell. And anyhow, that's where I was banking my exit strategy from. And when they said no, you know what? I said, all right, I'm just gonna buy houses, and I'm gonna be the general contractor. And every time I flip a house, I'm gonna collect $5,000 up front as a general contractor, and then on the back end, when I sell it, then I'll get my portion of it.
Yep.
And that's how I started paying bills, and I started kind of like juggling things around. Right. But I became a house buying machine because I needed to become a house buying machine. It wasn't because, oh, it's so cool to go flip 50 houses at a time.
Yeah.
And in August, I remember in July 2017, I tell my business partner, Dennis, I said, dude, we got to buy a Lambo and we got to buy a Ferrari. And he's like, you're out of your freaking mind. Why are we going to buy those expensive cars for? He's an engineer too. So he's like very in the box, very square. You know, he doesn't, if he thinks we don't need to spend money on something because it's luxury, he won't do it. Like he still drives today like a 2010 Kia. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how conservative he is. And I love him, Dennis, by the way. That's my brother from my other mother. I was like, no, Dennis, you don't get it, bro. If you buy a Lambo, because he loves Lambos, and I buy a Ferrari, we can join the Lambo clubs and the Ferrari clubs. And guess what's there?
Money.
Private money.
Yeah.
And guess who are they gonna give it to? Us. We're the new kids on the block. So he's like, dude, this is the first time I'm gonna say this, but it makes sense. Like what you're saying makes sense. He asked me, he said, Ricardo, can you wait until December? Let's wait until December. Let's not do it right now. This is in July. And I was like, come on, man, don't be a fucking pussy, bro. Like, why are we gonna wait until December? Bro, let's just get it for Christmas gift or something, you know, but let's just wait for a little bit. We got a lot of projects running right now, and we were short on staff. Even though we had like 70 people working on our rehabs, we needed more people.
Yeah.
We had a lot of money available to invest, so we had to go find more properties. Anyhow, man, in I think it was August 30th or 31st of 2017, Hurricane Harvey came to Houston, brother, and we didn't see it coming, but we had all these projects running, and we literally lost our crews overnight. Like,
wow, damn!
Like,
I didn't even think about that,
bro. Like overnight.
I remember that.
But the worst thing about it is,
man,
we thought, okay, in 6 months we're gonna get people back to work and no big deal.
Right.
That never happened, dude. Like, because FEMA was paying so much money for people to go do demos on houses. And bro, that was our like, we started we started going down so fast. Like I remember one of my attorneys was like, dude,
shit about the Lambo, bro. No,
well, that's dude. I'm happy that we didn't do it because
I know.
we would have looked like two dumbasses
Hell yeah.
giving
At
those
least you
cars
would have had
back,
it
you
for a
know.
little bit, right?
No. Next time when I buy it, it's cash and it's outright. You know, it's not gonna be on a lease or anything like that.
Hell yeah.
And no, we laugh about it because we're like, dude, you imagine we would have bought those cars and 3 months or 6 months later we had to go sell them because we didn't have money to pay for them. Yeah, that's embarrassing, dude.
It is. Oh my god.
So
That's a great story, though.
so anyhow, man, we have fucking $10 million
Crazy.
worth of loans, and
What was that like? Is that just like
it's like,
insurance claims?
dude,
Like,
no. It's like watching grass grow. Let me tell you why. We had all these projects and we lost our people. So now we got 50 houses we got to fix.
Yep.
In all different stages. Like some of them are almost ready. Some of them are halfway. Some other ones are, we just bought them and we were wholesaling.
Got it. Okay. So you're losing more. The way it impacted you more was not like because of storm damage. It was more because it's taking all your people.
It's taking all my people. We had 5
that's
houses.
Worse because you have insurance for that. For this, you have nothing.
We didn't have insurance.
Right.
We have 5 houses, okay, that were rentals. And what we did is, as soon as the houses were flooded, by the way, these houses didn't have any insurance. They had the insurance, the regular insurance, but they didn't have flood insurance. So remember, the hurricane brings floods. And if the house is not in a flood zone, as a landlord, I'm not going to put a flood insurance on a house that is not in the flood zone. Well, this hurricane flooded areas that never been flooded before. It actually changed the whole mapping for the flooding zones in Houston.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So we had $200,000 worth of damages on these houses, just on materials plus the labor. So we went and fixed them all up so we can put tenants back on. But by the time I'm shifting people from the rentals to the flips, that's when they started quitting left and right. And Dennis and I were left hanging with, I don't know, it was about $250,000 a month on payments and overhead and stuff like that the business cost to run. No progress. On top of that, we had an electrician that it was just a thug, man. And he was just stealing things and not finishing jobs. And dude, it was a nightmare. And that's how we became wholesalers.
Oh,
because at the time we had our own printing shop. So all the yellow letters, we did them ourselves.
Gotcha.
And we were actually registered with the USPS as a print shop to get the discounts and all that. And I said, Dennis, we know how to get the properties because we do the mailers. We know how to negotiate because you and I will go to the properties and lock them up. And we had an acquisitions guy that will go to as well, Freddie. We just lacked the Dispo side. So because we were very local, I said, we need to start a meetup. And at the meetup, we're going to get cash buyers and we're going to get all these people in. And because I don't do shit halfway or half-ass, we're not going to do one meetup. We're going to do 4 of them motherfuckers a month. And we're going to do one in each side of the city. Houston is so big.
Yeah.
That you throw one in spring and people will show up. You throw another one next week in Katy and people will show up. Complete different people, right?
Yep.
And dude, that's how we started. And we had to start making $250,000 a month just to keep the lights on. Now, I know how very well how it is.
I know how that goes. Trust
you
me.
might have a good month where you make 200, but the next month you're not clearing that much. You're clearing 100. You're clearing 80. And little by little, man, we started defaulting on payments. We started talking to lenders and saying, hey, man, I don't have any more money. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
We're waiting on closings from the wholesaling side so we can finish houses. Long story short, we were able to satisfy 99%.
Yeah.
But there was that 1%. And those we got into lawsuits with, they sue us basically. And rightfully so. I'm not even blaming them because the properties weren't finished and we just went broke. And so I had 3 different attorneys tell me you need to go file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was not bankrupt. I was like, I'm not bankrupt, dude. I'm not filing for bankruptcy. I just got a cash flow problem.
Yeah.
I always saw it that way. And they're like, yeah, but your lenders are coming after you. And I'm like, dude, there's no personal guarantee on those loans. So the worst they can do is put a judgment against the LLC, and that's about it. And if even if they sue me personally, which they did, they put a judgment against me, and you know what? At some point, I'm just gonna renegotiate that judgment or wipe it out or do something. But I'm not going to file for bankruptcy, because if I put that on my credit, that's worst.
Right. Right. Right.
And they're like, all right, man, do it. Don't do it. And I never did. I'm so thankful I didn't do it.
Mm.
We satisfied 99% of those loans. I still own a couple of those properties that are now, rented and making money, and we're making payments to the lenders. And the craziest thing is, I would say 50% of those lenders are coming back to knock on my door today again.
Yep.
Hey, man, are you back in business flipping? And I was like, nope. I am not flipping. I'm only doing a couple of deals here and there on the flips, but I'm not going to grow a flipping operation like I did in the past, because now I know better.
Right.
And if I ever do, it's going to be one house in California, another one in Florida, another one in Tennessee. And my ex are going to be spread out so far away from each other that I don't care. We need to get bombed by Russia, basically. So the same thing happens to me,
Yep.
But man, it's a lot of lessons learned. I was talking to Dennis about that on Sunday. We went to the Formula One race together, and I was like, Dennis, I should have listened to you a lot more when we were going through that. And he's like, yeah, Ricardo, but you're so hard. You really wanted to honor your commitments to these lenders. I understood you too, because you were the one raising the money. And I was like, yeah, I just didn't see me not, because he told me one day, it's like, dude, just don't pay $1 more to lenders. That's it. Call it a day. Right. And I was like, no, bro, that's not what we committed. We agreed to something. He's like, yeah, but our hole is so big that, dude, we have money. We had a lot of money in our bank accounts, and all that money, we went from making $500,000 a month to not having $50 to our name.
Yep.
So a lot of lessons learned. We started wholesaling. We quickly got out of Houston. We started doing nationwide. And I was doing nationwide to where I was actually flying to these cities and locking up deals.
Wow.
Yeah. So I will send letters on Friday to Tampa, Florida, for instance. And Tuesday morning, I was on an airplane going on appointments. And
that's crazy.
Dude, I had to do whatever it took.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wow. And I hired people like in certain markets, like boots in the ground, but they were hired, like they were 100% working with us, like lead managers.
Yep.
And one day I saw Nick Perry do it all on the phone, and I asked, like, dude, how do you do this? Like, how can you do this on the phone? I have to go and be in front of these people because I know I'm gonna be able to lock it up. He's like, Ricardo, it's just a limited belief you have. If you come to the office, he's in Austin. So drive one day, dude, and all you need to, I know you. And he's like, I know you. We've been knowing each other for a while now. All you have to do is see it once and you're good. And brother, I went to his office. I spent probably 35 minutes. And I saw these young kids locking up deals and these young kids selling deals on the phone.
Yep.
And I looked at him and said, that's it, brother. This is all I needed. At our highest.
So I've been in the game for a while, right? I got started when I was 19. So I was in the game before it was cool to close virtually.
Yeah.
Right? Like I opened up this company, Cash Geeks, in 2017, but I was working for a wholesale company before that. And then I was on my own for a little bit. Then I started this company, and my business partner, my previous business partner that I had with this company, Dom, he was pushing me to start doing cold calling because I was old school, bro. I was direct mail, person appointments, direct mail and person appointments. And he was like, yo, let's start this cold calling thing. And then we started cold calling his marketing. And then we started closing over the phone. And I just remember, like, if I got too weirded out, I'd just be like, all right, why don't I just come by and see it? Why don't I just come by? And I would just default to the appointment because that was what I was used to. And it wasn't until we started hiring people that they didn't know appointments.
They didn't know better. Yeah.
They didn't know any better. They just knew over the phones, and it just worked. It just works.
Dude, I locked up one of my guys actually locked up a deal. I live in Katy, Texas, and it was like 2 blocks from my house, and I was this tempted to go see it.
Yep.
And I this is like 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, Eli, can you give me the lockbox of the house? Because the owner even put the lockbox in it.
Yep.
For us. And he's like, what? Why? What are you gonna do? I said, I want to go look at it. And he's like, are you sure, man? Because you're always preaching about not going to the houses.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? You're right, dude. I'm not even gonna go see this when it's so close to me.
Hell
And
yeah.
we made $25,000 assignment on that thing. I never saw it. And he was 2 blocks away from me.
That's awesome.
So that's where. So I went and started an operation here in Houston, all wholesaling, virtual. At some point, we had 67 properties under contract all over the place. We had like 10 Dispo agents. We had like 4 solid acquisitions guys. But I got tired of it, man, because they needed me too much. So that thing about, okay, owning the business or working in the business or on the business or whatever, I really wanted to detach myself from it. So I hired some badass guys that I thought these guys are going to take and run with it. And that wasn't the case. They always needed me for some reason. And we had $1 million to collect. This is back in 2021, August 2021. And I remember bringing everybody in the morning, doing a morning huddle, and we're looking at the boards because we have boards all over the office. I mean, all over. It was... and every single board was full of houses, right? And I'm doing the math, and I'm like, Jesus, I got like $1.5 million to collect here. So I go and I say, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. We got, I think it was 1.25. We got 1.25 million to collect. I have never collected this much money on assignments in a 90-day period.
Yep. So
on top of your salary and on top of your bonus, because I was paying salary and bonus, the 10% of the assignment, and then they had like a $2,000, $2,500 draw, so they could, it wasn't really a draw, it was a salary.
Yep.
So it was that on top of the 10, and then the 10% on top. I will give you 30% of this money collected so you can share in between the people that are involved in selling these deals.
Yep.
And they're like, holy shit, that's like $400,000. Let's go. Dude, if we closed on 200,000, it was too much.
Wow.
And one day I was just frustrated. And I came in one morning on Monday. I always do a Monday meeting. And that Monday, I just thanked everybody. I said, guys, thank you so much. I can't continue to work with you guys. You guys didn't get to where you needed to go. And if I have to make the calls and sell the properties, I'm gonna keep all the fucking money. So you guys can go.
Yep.
And sure enough, dude, I sold like $300,000 on my own.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how do I do this? So at that point, I thought about quitting. I thought about, okay, do I go back to fix and flips? And I was like, no, that's not really my calling. I don't like it anymore. I don't even enjoy it anymore because of everything that I went through. I don't like being a landlord. I like sales and marketing. I need to figure a way out to make this shit work. But the people I'm attracting are not the people that I really want to work with because they're mediocre somehow,
right.
Even though they started as a rock star when they started, eventually they just dropped. And I don't know if they were not motivated or I don't know. But man, if $300,000 on top of what you make doesn't motivate you, brother, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I looked at my vision traction organizer. So I've built systems over and over and over again for everything that I do. And so I started analyzing my VTO, and I said, okay, on my vision traction organizer, the business plan is solid, but the people in the business plan were not solid. So let me find the people that are still in my organization that are rock solid, that I need to invest more time and money on. That way I can help those two grow, and they help me grow the team.
Right.
And it just so happened that these two people were both in Venezuela because they were my VAs. And they have been working with me for a while. They already knew me. But they were doing things like my Instagram account. They were doing the websites. It was very like busy work. They weren't really generating any revenue or anything like that. And I called them both and I said, look, guys, here's the deal. We need to hire 10 bilingual people where you are. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care what it takes, but I want them hungry and I want them to wanting to make money. Can you guys do that? And they're like, why? What's going on? I said, I'm going to shut down the office here in Houston. I'm going to wait until my lease expires. And then we're going to go and we're going to start an office over there overseas. And I'm going to train these people on how to buy and sell properties from Venezuela. And they're like, you crazy? And I was like, yeah, I am crazy. Let's do it. Sure enough, dude. And we went and did it. And little did I know, man, that's probably one of the best choices I ever made.
Yeah.
All my deals are bought and sold from overseas. And talking about how do they go see a house? They can't. Like, they got to get a picture one way or another, because none of them got a passport. They don't have a visa, much less, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
But then this is the other crazy part. I had two friends. One was a student, which he's in Jacksonville, Danny, and the other one was a friend of mine that's actually going to speak on the event this weekend, David. And I've been preaching to David. I said, David, you got to make a shift because you're operating in your office right now in Orlando, and the way you got your structure set up, dude, you're working for them. They're not working for you. And he's like, what do you mean? So I explained the matrix behind the money he was paying and all that. And he's like, hey, I don't know. I'm hesitant about it. I said, dude, just get one VA. Start working with that one.
Yeah.
And he had already some callers from another company, but he listened to me and he got one. Then he got another one. And they started growing like that.
Yeah.
Today, 90% of their business is run by my team now.
Yeah. Shout out to Denny, by the way. Denny, my boy out here in Jax.
Yeah, bro. Denny Anderson. What's up, Denny? I'll see Denny. Hopefully I'll see him. We'll see him Thursday night. So,
okay.
So we started going virtual. And what happened was most of my friends were asking the same questions. Like, hey, dude, how are you doing this thing from overseas? And I was like, man, I just hired a bunch of people there. I trained them and it's working. And guess what? It's a lot cheaper than trying to do it with local people here.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you have one for me? And I was like, what do you need? Like, well, I need a call caller, or I need a lead manager, or I need an acquisitions guy or a Dispo guy. And I was like, all right. So we're very heavy right now on Dispo managers and Dispo VAs.
Got it.
We're very heavy on lead managers and call callers for other people. For about 3 years, I did texting, and we were talking about that offline the other day. And that was my primary way of doing deals. But another business spun off from something I had no idea I had on my hands, which is a VA company, pretty much.
Right. How much is a Dispo VA? If you don't mind.
So the way we do it is $1,500 for a Dispo VA. Now, these guys are fully capable of negotiating deals.
Okay.
They're only going to come to you and say, hey, Gonzalo, this guy offered 92 and we're asking 98. What do you want to do? They're just asking for permission basically to send the assignment. Yep. So because I train those Dispo VAs, we charge $1,500. They work full time for you. And then we ask you for 8.5% of the assignment. 8.5. Okay. Because we pay them commissions as well.
Got it.
And not only the VA makes commissions, but their supervisor and so on and so forth. So there's multiple people eating from that commission, right?
Got it.
We know how to work Investor Lift very well. I used to be a cartel member, and now I got access to more Investor Lift accounts than I need, because we work in a lot of people's Investor Lifts. Shout out to Robert and Dimitri, with Investor Lift, and they go and recollect all the data from PropStream and all the different softwares that are out there that got cash buyers. And they start just texting and cold calling buyers in the area where you got your properties around. So there's two types of VAs. We have what we call a Dispo VA. That's all they do, is kind of like data lead generation for the Dispo manager.
Got it.
I wouldn't tell you to get a Dispo manager unless you have 10 deals under contract. If you don't have 10 deals under contract, or if you lose your Dispo manager for some reason, then okay, it makes sense to hire somebody with us. But
got it.
Most people that we're working with, they have a Dispo manager in the office, and then they have the Dispo VA with us, because the VA is quarterbacking leads to the manager. Okay. Now, when
how much are they?
Those are $9.97 a month or $12.50, depending on if they're getting on the phone calling or whatnot, right? And for those, we only ask for like $100 bonus when you close on the deal.
Bonus. I love that, dude.
It's either 100 or 200, something like that. But we know we give them 100, so it might be 200.
I'll take one.
There you go.
I need one, like literally exactly. I need a Dispo tee-upper.
Yeah.
I have a Rockstar here in the office, and I was thinking I need another Dispo, and I'm like, shit, really? I don't need another Dispo. I just
how many deals do you have on the contract right now?
Right now we have probably like 12.
Are they? But they're a combination of wholesale and novations, or?
I don't do novations, bro. I only do.
Bro, you're leaving money on the table right now, dude.
Yeah, I know. Everybody tells me that, man. I only do wholesaling and flips. So I buy flips. I have 12 flips going on right now, and then I have about 12 wholesale deals on.
Well, let's get together this weekend, because I guarantee you, if I now, do you know how to do innovation, or you don't have it clear yet?
I don't have it 100% clear.
There you go. So all I gotta do is give you that 20% that you need.
Right.
A lot of those wholesale deals that you got, I guarantee you can novate them, and you can probably make 15, 20 grand more than you're making on the assignment.
Gotcha.
Okay. So our guys know how to do novation.
Ricardo, help me.
I help you, brother. Like, dude, this is Gonzalo. This is why we do this event. Okay.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the event, because I'm stoked. I blocked it all off, so I'm gonna be there Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. I got my video guys coming with me, so
amazing.
Promote it all while we're there. Everything.
Bring your team too if you want to, brother. They're more than welcome to join, and so they can see what's possible, for you guys as a team. Because I'm a firm believer, man, that I love treating my team with 5-star treatment. Like,
I agree.
I take my guys out in Venezuela. We go to lunch, we go to dinner, we go drinking, we go to clubs, all of that stuff. We do it together. And this weekend, it's built for that. It's networking, exchanging ideas. How can we better each other? I am sure that one nugget I pick up from you will make me $1 million. Only one. That's it. Most people will come to events to be like, I'm going to study the whole weekend. It's like, no. Focus on that one thing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that you're going to be at the event, and when somebody else goes on stage,
absolutely,
they say something and you're going to be like, man, I didn't know that. Or
absolutely,
like, and then you go talk to that one guy. It's like, hey, bro, how is it that you do this process?
Yep.
And boom, next thing you know, now your operation is better. Or like the novation thing. I stayed away from novations myself, bro. Corey Geary, who's one of my best friends, we were at a mastermind together in 2020 in San Antonio with Uncle Charles.
Shout out Uncle Charles. Shout out Corey Geary. We've had all these guys on the show. Corey's going to be there this weekend also,
right? Of course. Yeah, he's going to be there. And Corey gets up. I invited Corey to that mastermind. That was an invite-only mastermind type thing. maybe Charles invited you guys, but you guys might have been busy or something. Because I know you guys were.
Yeah. I remember that, and we couldn't make that one. But I remember like that it was like a private mastermind.
Dude, it was good.
Yeah,
that was a good mastermind.
I'm pissed we didn't. We were different phase, different world. You know.
I helped them
so many
organize
events all the time, so it was like shit. I gotta.
Yeah, I helped them organize it, and that's where I had the pleasure to meeting my great friend David Olds as well. But anyhow, Corey,
the lineup that you have for this weekend is insane.
Yeah, David is not coming, man. I'm bummed because he
was gonna be there.
He was supposed to, but something came up and he won't be able to make it. But he'll be in the one in Miami, so no big deal.
Okay.
Corey gets up it was like a rectangle. So he gets up in the middle and everybody's around you basically. And he goes and starts talking about these novations. I thought he was talking to me in Chinese. Like I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like, Corey, what are you talking about, man? Like you putting the properties on the MLS, but the contract is different and you got to get a power of attorney and affidavit of, like whatever. And it was so complicated. I stayed away from it because I thought it was like, this is like rocket science shit, and anyhow, he was printing money with it at the time.
Yeah.
About a year later, I reached out to him and I said, Corey, I really need to understand these novations, man. I see more people talking about them now, but you're my friend. Can you send me the link to your course? I'll buy it. I'll pay. And I did buy it. I think I paid like $2,000 for it. I watched it with my team. We downloaded the contracts and the documents and all that. And it was all beautiful, but we didn't act on it. For some reason, we didn't know how to pitch it. Like,
I think that's my biggest thing.
So that was my problem.
I understand it. Like, you get the purchase contract with the seller. Then you novate that to the purchase contract with the buyer.
Right.
You get paid to release a lien. You get power of attorney so you can sign everything. Seller, they're happy they're getting their number and you're able to put it on the retail market. So I'm familiar with that part. I think I'm on that same page.
That's the problem I had. I didn't know how to introduce it.
Correct.
So he's like, dude, this is simple. If they say no to your lowball offer on the cash deal, just tell them you have another offer that you can work with them and it works this other way.
Right.
And I was like, that's it.
That does make sense.
And I said, that's it. And he's like, yeah, Ricardo, we call it the concierge service. So I'll give you an example. Hey, Mr. Gonzalo, I understand you want $100,000 for your property. However, I cannot make those numbers work. My finance department is coming in at $50,000 or $60,000 cash.
Right.
We're $40,000 away. It's just not gonna work. But there's this concierge service that we offer to people like you that might be a fit, and we may be able to give you the $100,000 that you want. Is that something you're interested in listening to? Of course, because now you're telling them, I can pay you whatever you're asking for, right? And they go, yeah, well, how does that work? Well, it's simple. We're going to go ahead and we're going to hire the real estate agent. We're going to cover the closing costs at the closing table. And we're going to go ahead and market the property. And if there's any improvements that are drastic that we can take care of, we're going to put money in the property so we can make the sale. Now, keep in mind, we're going to sell this property for a higher value. That way we can profit from the deal. Is that something that you think you can work on? Absolutely. Boom. There you go. You start locking them up left and right. So I wasn't seeing it that way because I thought I had to go in with the offer from an ovation from the beginning. I don't know. I was just overthinking it. Right. And now half of our deals are novations and the other ones are straight up assignments. And I like the assignments because they keep cash coming in. Mm-hmm. Like you can close 2, 3, 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, that's what my buddy said. It like a novation is kind of like a flip.
They're longer.
Right. And so it's just like they're bigger paydays. They're headaches sometimes.
They're headaches.
There's, but they're worth it, right? It's like same reason why I do flips, right? It's because like I have my little wholesale thing going.
And it's another tool in the tool belt, man. It's all right. This is not going to be a flip because I don't like the area. And this is not going to be a wholesale deal because the guy wants too much money for it. But maybe this property qualifies for innovation. Why not take it down and put it on the market? And if you're an agent then you're double dipping on it because you can list them yourself.
Yep. Yep.
So this is the kind of things that you learn at a mastermind like the one we're doing this weekend. And I learned that 3 years ago. I just didn't know how to execute on it. I had to reach out again a year later. Finally, we're doing them now. And there's so many other things that are going to happen that weekend, man. We're going to have lunches, dinners. We have a go-giver dinner on Thursday night that only VIPs and sponsors are going to attend, and speakers. We're gonna do a game on Saturday afternoon with Marcos Jacober. He's the deed hunter. So this guy focuses on tax deeds and tax liens, and he's gonna turn the whole room into like a courthouse thing where he's auctioning properties and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
I love that. Hey, those freaking guys, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. And he wears like a hat, like a cowboy hat. And he's got the hammer and all that. It's funny, dude.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. We're going to have one of the 4 founders of the Medellin cartel. His name is Jorge Valdez, man. He's one of my friends and mentors. And I'll tell you what, man, this guy is amazing. There's no other ways to describe it. So
that's awesome, man. I'm excited about that too.
Dude, I won't say anything, but you guys need to come check it out because
Yeah, guys, by the way, hey, Mike, can you pull up the link on the Chiron real quick? If you guys are listening, my man Ricardo is throwing a massive event this upcoming weekend in 3 days.
Yeah.
It's Friday and Saturday in Orlando, Florida. So I know a lot of my listeners are here in Florida. Get your butts there. I'm going to be a guest speaker, but I'm only one of the freaking powerhouses that Ricardo's going to have. And he just said he's going to have one of the 4 founding members of the Medellin cartel.
That is correct, man. He's got more Pablo stories than I like, for him to tell. But
I love that, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's got 2 hours on stage. You're going to see that. He's amazing. Everybody going there is amazing one way or another, man. Corey's going to be speaking on crypto. Robert Vasquez is going to be speaking on.
Oh, I saw Rob's going to be there too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be there. He became a sponsor last minute, man. And bro, I love having guys like him that not only have experience, but they have a business background. They have multiple lanes, multiple structures of, income streams. And, he just adds more value to the whole event. All together, we're gonna have some meditation going on. If you guys are in Florida, there's no excuse on why you're not attending this event. I'm coming from Houston. I am doing the event in Orlando, which means I gotta fly there. I gotta drive my equipment there because the whole stage, everything is mine. Most of the speakers are coming from another part of the freaking country, so. Yeah. With the exception of, you are coming from Jacksonville. We have Alex Quesada from Orlando, Al Nicoletti from Jacksonville as well. We're going to have David Pupo, who's in Orlando.
Rob's here in Orlando.
In Orlando. Amanda Webster is of north of Tampa, somewhere in there with Fund and Grow. But everybody else is coming from somewhere else, man. So if you're in Florida, make sure you send me a DM or Gonzalo so we can send you a link and you can get a ticket. But yeah, we're gonna we have it capped at 200, so no more than 200 people. I think we're gonna sell out by tomorrow, to be honest with you. But it's gonna be a whole different experience. This is not a pitch fest where we're selling you on the next freaking coaching program or with a $50,000 package or whatnot. No, this is designed for all of us to grow as a group and to benefit from each other. And for the guys that are not on stage, but that are participating in the audience, to take notes from the guys that are on stage so they can go build their businesses. Really, that's really what it is.
Yeah, no, I love it. And all of my viewers know I don't have anything to sell, and I love that I'm going to be a part of this, man. I'm excited to get involved with your community. I know we've been playing this game, trying to get this done, and now we're finally here. So I'm excited to be there. But I'm excited about the fact that it's a mastermind, and,
Yes.
and people don't. This is not a seminar, right?
No.
People don't understand that, and I want to highlight that because a mastermind is a true meeting of the minds. And this is where you learn by engaging with each other, asking questions with each other, being part of the discussions with the speakers. And so I'm super excited about that because I'm a sucker for masterminds, man. You
Let me
throw
tell you
the you
something,
throw the word
man.
mastermind, I'm like, dude, I'm there. I'm in.
All this, all the speakers, they either pay $5,000 or $7,500 to be on stage. Okay. And the reason I say that is because some people are going to go on the website. They're going to be like, oh man, they're charging X for general admission or X for VIP. Well, guess what? The guys that are giving you the information, they pay 10X what most people are paying to sit in that room. And it's because they understand the law of reciprocity and the law of abundance. The more they give, the more they collect.
Yep.
And because I don't have a coaching program on the back end, I have to share the bill with the other speakers.
Absolutely.
That's literally how it is. Are there going to be some offers at the event? Of course. Everybody has got something that you may benefit from. Like I have VAs, I have my texting platform, I have multiple things, right? Am I going to be selling those with? No, like you're probably not going to hear anything about it other than probably see my team on the screen at some point. But because it's really a mastermind. It's like, okay, how can I help you guys? What do you guys want to know? So we can just get to work right away. And I'll give you an example. Tim Harridge, who's coming with RCN Capital.
Oh, dude, Tim's gonna be there.
Oh yeah, Tim is gonna be there, dude. It's that's gonna be a party, man. But I texted Tim, I think it was last week. I said, hey man, what are you gonna speak about? He responded, I don't know, whatever you want me to talk about. And Tim is one of the main sponsors of the event, right? He never said, I'm just going to do a slide presentation on Harmony Loans and la, 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 la. I said, Tim, I'll tell you what I would like for you to speak on is the future of the market. Like, how does the market look like moving forward? Because
he's the best.
Dude, I don't know how.
Bro, he is. So I called Tim whenever I need help, I need clarity. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll just text him like, yo, do you have like 2 minutes to talk? And then he'll just text me, be like, I'm driving. Call me right now. And we'll just talk for like an hour and a half. And he's just like, I still got another half hour. You want to keep talking? I'm like, hell yeah. And we'll just chat it up, man. And Tim has poured into me, man. He is one of those dudes that I feel like, because he was young when he first got started in the real estate game. And I feel like he sees a lot of himself in me. So he's like, bro, I need to pour into G. And I helped him any way that I can.
Not only that, man, Tim is in the financial sector, right? So they're doing loans, they're handling a lot of money. They're probably one of the biggest lenders there are out there in our space, if not the biggest one. And he gets to see behind the scenes what happens with big money.
Correct.
Right? How is money being played around? How is the money being pulled away? Right? I got Joe McDonald has a question. You guys rock. I'm sure you consulted your attorney about the novation method. My attorney said novations are definitely a gray area. Is there anything to be worried about when doing novations? Joe, that's a great question, brother. So number one, based in my experience, novations are completely different from state to state. So you got to be state specific, okay, on how you do the novation. However, this is what the mistake most people are doing is they do a novation, but they don't put any money on the deal. What do I mean by that? They do all the paperwork, but they don't go and cut the yard, and they don't go and maybe throw some paint in a bathroom. If you are financially vested in the deal, meaning you put earnest money on the deal, and then you went and put some money into the property, whether you did some painting or you cut the yard and you have receipts to show for, there's not a problem at all because you are actually investing in bettering that property. And you can have a threshold. Let's say you're going to put $1,000 max on the novation. That's already in front of a judge, you already invested money on the deal.
Right.
So they cannot tell you you're trying to scam somebody out of money or anything like that, because you are actually investing in a property that you don't legally own. So that I learned that on a mastermind. Okay, full disclosure. And that's the power of being in a mastermind. And
Hell
that's
yeah.
where you learn those things. You know, they
Absolutely.
you know, the stuff that's for free out there on YouTube, it can take you so far, but when you pay to get in the room of the people that are actually making things happen, that's where you learn those things. And that's where I learned the how to do innovations correctly. So I hope that answers your question.
Masterminds is where I've learned everything that I know. Honestly, I go to a mastermind, and that's why I'm like, dude, if you put the word mastermind in front of it, like, I'm there, because it's what you said earlier. It's there could have been an entire presentation, but because I got to ask the person a question right after the speech and they answered it, that little freaking answer just made me $1 million in my career. And then I talked to this other guy who I'm sharing, and then they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I heard you sharing earlier. You should probably look into this program, because I was using that same program, and then when I switched to this one, fucking blew my mind, and I should have changed that program way sooner." And then you're like, "Holy crap, I had no idea that that other program existed, and I totally hate this program that I'm using. And had I not been in this group, I would have never known about that program." And
That's
just
right.
using that program, you don't realize it, but just switching to that program because now you know about it, um, just made you $1 million in your career,
A
right? And
bunch of
so
money, man. It's like I said, one nugget you guys get out of this mastermind, this event this weekend. It's an event slash mastermind, so it's a combination of the two. We keep it simple too, man. We love partying. We love going out to drinks and networking, mingling, having dinners and lunches and things like that. It's very relaxed, so it's different from what I've seen out there. And that's why I only do it twice a year. And by the way, putting these events together, it takes a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of these are not cheap to do either. The hotels are freaking outrageously expensive, and a plate of food is $60. So
coffee's $20.
$72 a gallon.
Yep.
Right. So people are like, man, these tickets are expensive. Okay, why don't you flip the bill for the hotel? I'll tell you what, I'll let you in for free, no problem. so like whatever. But anyhow, man, this is gonna be amazing. We're gonna have a great time this weekend.
I'm excited, man.
I can't wait to connect with you and all the other people that are coming and everybody attending. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, Ricardo, for people watching that maybe tuned in late or want to rewatch this, how can people follow you? Where can they learn more about you?
Brother, easily in YouTube, Ricardo Rosales. I do have a podcast, the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast, which I got to have you on now. And even though I've had it turned off for a while, I'm starting to do it like seasons, I do a bunch of them and then, I stop for a while. Doing a podcast is, I've been podcasting since 2016, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. I was doing Facebook Lives when Facebook Lives was not a thing.
Yeah, well, it's because you come from the you talked about it earlier, the network marketing world.
I had a videographer.
Yeah.
In 2016, and my videographer Neil, who actually produced my old podcast, the Renovating Riches podcast, was telling me like a couple of months ago, he's like, dude, have you seen how everybody now has a video guy following them around, and everybody has a podcast and everybody has this and YouTube channels? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, you were so far ahead of your time because you were the only guy doing those things back then. And I remember a lot of my friends asking me like, dude, why do you have a video guy? Like that costs you money. And I was like, yeah, but I'm putting myself out there. Right. And I really want to educate people. And if I can share my wins and my losses, then somebody's going to take advantage of that and go from there. So check me out on YouTube, Ricardo Rosales, on Instagram, Ricardo M. Rosales, Facebook, follow me, send me a message. I'm pretty I'm never on the messenger. It's my VAs, my assistants are there, but they'll relay the message to me if needed. But yeah, it's pretty simple. YouTube and IG, and that's it.
Awesome. Ricardo, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Really, really appreciate you being an open book, answering all my questions. I am getting a VA tomorrow.
Let's do it. I'll set you up with Carla. Carla will talk to you, and brother, your dispo process is gonna improve by you have no idea.
I love it. I'm in. And for everybody who tuned in, and if you are local and you're taking this real estate game serious, you need to be at this event, Orlando, Florida, this upcoming weekend. I'm going to be speaking there. My man Ricardo is going to be there hosting, and we are going to have, I mean, there's like freaking 15 powerhouse speakers or more. And I'm super pumped. So if you are local here in the state of Florida, or even if you're not local, make it a trip. Most people are flying in for this thing. So,
Yep.
so I'm super excited about that. I get to connect with a bunch of my buddies from out of town, and you're bringing them in. So I love it.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me here, brother. It's been a pleasure, and we'll do it again soon. But this time I will interview you, and we'll go from there. Jacob, what are you talking about? You gotta be at this one, brother. This is the one, Jacob, not the next one. This is the one.
The time is now.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
All right, man. You take care.
And everybody tuned in, thank you so much. I will see you guys